and it's been a little bit, so now we're back. Part 2 of the Age of Exploration for Western Civ, Chapter 13, starting back with the Spanish conquistadors and Pizarro. At the overthrow of the Incan Empire by this guy, Pizarro. Okay, the Incans are famous for their long-stretching empire, their beautiful roads that help connect that, the ability to send messages along these roads are hallmark of the Incan Empire and their famous temples at Machu Picchu. He conquers the Incas in Peru. He actually had fewer men than Cortez, but he's able to do it through the use of superior technology. And of course, the same thing that happened with the Incas, or with the Incas, happened with the Aztecs. The Incans, the empires they had overthrown, they allied themselves with the Spanish, just like happened with Cortez and the Aztecs. Okay, the Incas actually had more men than the Aztecs, but that doesn't stop them because even though Pizarro was further from his supplies and supply lines, he's got that greatest of all technology on his side, biological warfare. That's right, European diseases. They weren't doing it intentionally, but it certainly helped out. And then, of course, there's this guy, the first European to not actually sail around the world, Ferdinand Magellan. Okay, he's born Portuguese. He gets Spanish citizenship as Portuguese get kicked out of their trade and become less important in sailing. People are jumping ship, so to speak, to go sail for the Spanish. Okay, he sets out to circumnavigate the globe, and the Strait of Magellan at the southern end of the South American continent is named for him. He actually dies in a battle in the Philippines and doesn't make it around the world. A guy by the name of Juan Sebastian del Caño, or El Caño, sometimes he is called, makes it back, depending on the account, with 1 of 5 or 1 of 6 ships, only about 18 guys out of a starting crew of 200. Investors still didn't lose their money. What does that say about the value of those spices? Okay, so here's a bit of his voyage. You can see leaving Spain here through the Strait of Magellan over here to various islands in the Pacific. That's here in the Philippines where he dies, and it's Del Caño, or El Caño, who gets back. Okay, now we're going to go to the Dutch as explorers. Okay, they have been part of the Spanish Empire. They are Protestants, and they get their freedom from them, backed by the English, which doesn't make Philip II very happy. Again, part of the Spanish Empire in Europe, up here in this area, as you can see right in here, in the small green. These are Protestants who want to get their independence from their Catholic kings, but they also inherit the ships and knowledge that they already gotten from Spain, and they're going to take over most of the Portuguese trade routes by force. They've got more money than the Portuguese, more men than the Portuguese, more supplies. That's how they're able to do it. Everyone always asks, why did the Portuguese fight back? They tried. They were just outnumbered. Okay, the Dutch also got over into the New World, exploring North America, which we refer to as New Amsterdam. Okay, they had colonies also in the Far East and in the East Indies. Okay, colonies in Africa and even in India, and they become the first Europeans to reach Australia long before the English. But it's English, they're going to be the thorn in the side for the Dutch. And here they come, the English, and our good Queen Elizabeth I. That's her, of the red hair there and the very pale white face. They are behind the others, and again, a very poor country she inherits after her father spent lavishly. That's Henry VIII, and his multiple divorces and separating himself from the Catholic Church. And then his young son takes over at 9, dies at 14. His first daughter, Mary, who's Catholic, takes over, kills a bunch of people, Bloody Mary. And Elizabeth finally comes to the throne. We've had sort of religious civil war and everything else going on. They're very poor. Okay, there's also a debt from the 100 Years' War with France still to pay off. They're very fearful of Spain. Remember Mary, who had been married to Philip II there, he sends an armada to try and crush them, but Queen Elizabeth is the one who then starts our exploration for the Spanish. Okay, she hires ships from captains, and I told you this story in class, okay? Gives them provisions, gives them weapons, gives them men in some cases. You know, we just kidnap them, throw them on, and guess what? You're a sailor now, okay? They work for the queen, but not legally. Please sign here. This is where if we had a nice set of production facilities, we'd have that voice and a little fine script going up there saying, not legally, disclaimers. These are privateers. Unless you get caught, then you're a pirate because we've never heard of you. Francis. I don't know any Francis. No Francis here. Okay. The most famous, again, however, was Francis Drake. That's ES for guys, IS for girls, by the way. And he's a privateer for Elizabeth. He's a pirate, though, if you ask the Spanish. He captures ships and gold. He becomes the second in command against the Armada, which they defeat. His reward is offered by Spain for him of 20,000 ducats. That's gold coins, large gold coins, 20,000 of them. That's some money even in today's standards. Okay. He also will eventually circumnavigate the globe. Unlike Magellan, he actually makes it back in one piece. Okay. Eventually, the British will set up an empire that stretches from England into the colonies in the New World. British Guyana here in South America. We've got colonies in Gambia, the Gold Coast, which is now Ghana today, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, all across Southern Africa. And except for Tanzania, they would have gone all the way straight north to south in Africa, along the southern coast of the Arabian Peninsula, India, Burma, various colonies over in the East Indies, all of Australia. So large of the empire, the saying used to be, the sun never sets on the British Empire because somewhere, sometime, where the British flag is flying, it's daytime. Finally, that leaves us with Amerigo Vespucci. Who are you? Well, let's talk a little bit about who he is and who he isn't. First of all, he's not a famous cartographer. A cartographer, by the way, that's a fancy name for map maker. Cartographer. Okay, he's not a famous explorer. Explorers are the guys who were in charge of the expedition. Diaz, Pizarro, Cortez, who are conquistadors, really, Francis Drake. These guys are explorers. He's not. Okay, he wrote idealized stories about the New World. Okay, he's a good publicist. So who was he a good publicist for? Well, his dad was a merchant, but he had no work for his son, so he asked an old friend for help, an old classmate who had gotten to be rather wealthy and rather famous and was running the finances at that time of the Catholic Church at the Vatican. Okay, his father, friend, is a successful, again, merchant banker, the wealthiest family in Italy, if not wealthiest family in all of Europe. He doesn't lead in explorations. That's Amerigo Vespucci. He doesn't lead explorations. He's the guy who they send along to sort of spy on the expeditions they fund to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and writing idealized accounts to draw people to want to go to those places that they find. Okay, he's kind of unoriginal. Venezuela. One day they're sailing along the coast of northern South America. They come to a village and they see these villages built up on stilts. He goes, villages, houses in the water like Venice, little Venice, Venezuela. That's Portuguese for you. And Rio de Janeiro. Hey, it was January. They came up on a river. He called it January River. It sounds better in Portuguese, Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so which Renaissance family was it that used money to fund the arts and also fund these explorations and gave Amerigo Vespucci a job for his good old dad? That's the Medicis. Back to the Renaissance, back to Florence, back to the beginning. See you next time.